Yeah.
We're like Public Enemy, like the band?
Maybe. Yeah.
Like, you guys are collectively Chuck D and I'm Flavor Flav.
I am totally not hard enough to be Chuck D.
That's why I said collective.
Hello, welcome to this week's episode of the Rambling Knave. I'm Brandon.
And I'm a working man.
And I'm Noah. I'm not an expert this week, but we are all Rush fans. And so this week we're going to be talking about one of our favorite bands, much like the Beatles, Rush.
We're going to be doing a top 10 again, like we did with the Beatles, but this one's going to be broken into two different eras of the band, from the self-titled to Moving Pictures, and then from Signals to Clockwork Angels.
Yep, and it's going to be chronological, so it's not really a top 10, but it's just a chronological of the best, most underrated songs. Our metric was that none of these songs could be on any of their greatest hits compilations.
At least not more than twice. We made some wiggle room. But.
Or at least not twice.
Yeah. The albums we refer to are the Chronicles Greatest Hits double album that came out in 1990, and the Rush retrospective albums that they have three of those for distinctive eras of the band. So the idea was there's a lot of underrated Rush songs, and the metric for that is kind of gray, but we thought that not everyone is a big Rush fan, so these are songs you wouldn't hear on the radio even if they might have been released as singles when they came out.
Yeah. That being said, if you're not a Rush fan, the band is made of three members. It's only three people. It's Neil Peart on drums, Alex Lifeson on guitar, and Geddy Lee on vocals and bass and keyboards.
Yep. And as the fact that we are filming by Cleveland, we're all Clevelanders.
Well,
ish.
Close.
Ish.
Clevelanders by proxy.
Yeah, by proxy. But anyway, we would associate ourselves with Cleveland. Cleveland is where Rush got their American start.
Their biggest break came from WMMS playing Working Man, and all the Cleveland steelworkers were like, you know what? This is a fucking good song that really resonates with me.
Yeah,
so
man.
Up until then, they were kind of struggling, and then they found a fan base in Cleveland and shot from there.
Yeah, they didn't even have a record deal, and they were selling records here in Cleveland.
That's true.
Yeah. All right, so beginning at the beginning, the earliest song on our list is The Necromancer, off of the album that almost killed their career, but
it's true.
That being said, it's one of my favorite albums.
It's also got a really dope name.
Yeah, the song is The Necromancer.
And the album, by the way, is Caress of Steel.
Yeah,
and it is a dope name. And like he said, it almost killed their career because people hate this album. And I don't get it. I love it. Like, my 5 picks for this era almost were this whole album.
Yeah. Easily could have been.
Yeah. But The Necromancer it's one of their first more epic songs. Like, By-Tor was, almost 9 minutes. And it's a really great song and nearly made this list, but Necromancer tops out at over 12, and it goes through, several different movements, and this is really where they figured out that that's what they wanted to do, like these epic length songs.
Yeah, and in By-Tor's defense, By-Tor does make an appearance in the song.
Yes, he does.
Goes from being the villain in his own song to being a hero in this song.
The song is heavily inspired by the J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings series.
The Necromancer in question is technically Sauron.
And if you don't know what a necromancer is, it's a dead wizard.
Yeah, and they also did other J.R.R. Tolkien ones. They did a song called Rivendell, which was on my list. I really like that song, but...
Yeah. And in the liner notes to the album, there is a Latin quote. It's from Dr. Faustus by Christopher Marlowe, who it's a play, so read that if you read plays, but Christopher Marlowe had an exceptionally interesting life. Look into it. He may make an appearance in one of our episodes in the future.
Yeah, we can't do a callback card because it's not a callback yet, but, just a glimpse of the future coming in.
But Ken Ham, that's callback.
Yeah.
So, moving along.
I said organically.
You said callback, and we were calling back to Ken Ham.
Along.
Song 2.
Number 2, The Twilight Zone from 2112. And this was the album where they stuck to their guns and said, you know what? Screw it, we want to write 20-minute songs. And it almost killed them on Caress of Steel, but on 2112 they nailed it. much to the chagrin of their record company. But this is not 2112. This is the third song on the album, and it's about the show, The Twilight Zone, which I put it on my list because that's one of my favorite shows
Absolutely.
ever of all time.
Well, and for me, I was torn between this one and A Passage to Bangkok because of one, Bangkok.
Should I punch you in the wiener right
Yeah,
now?
and then two, because the song Bangkok is about buying drugs.
And the best places to buy.
Yeah, drugs. In Bangkok or in Thailand.
And when you think of Rush, you don't really think of trying to buy drugs in Bangkok.
Yeah, they're not
No.
the type of band that really conjures that idea of people who do drugs. I mean, it's only about marijuana, but
But still.
yeah, it's still these guys don't.
They're
But
super nerdy.
while Passage to Bangkok is a poppy song and it can be an earworm, I think Twilight Zone is a more well-written song. It goes through more parts. It has a lot more to offer than Bangkok does, which is why ultimately I decided that I would rather have this than Bangkok.
Yeah, and it does mention, or at least allude to a couple of actual Twilight Zone episodes. One of which is like my personal favorite, which is Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up? And then the second is
Third arm.
yeah. We wanted a prop arm, but we just couldn't. We couldn't do it. And then the second one is A Stopover in a Quiet Town, and that's like one of the last episodes in the last season. So they were digging deep here.
Yeah. Both, I mean, that's a good episode, too.
Yes, it is.
It really is.
Also, Steven Wilson of Porcupine Tree fame, it's a band that you should check out, did a cover of this for the 2112 40th anniversary reissue. It's a little bit of a toned down version of this song, but I highly recommend checking it out. I also highly recommend checking out Porcupine Tree because they have a lot of Rush influence on some of their later work.
Moving on to number 3 on our list, and this is the only song that got a unanimous vote from the three of us. This is Circumstances from Hemispheres.
Which I cannot believe is on this list.
Yeah,
This song should not be on this list. Like, everyone should know this song.
Yeah.
I should say Rush, and you'd be like, oh yeah, Circumstances. That's one of my favorite songs.
yeah,
Like,
that should be a radio staple right there with Limelight and Tom Sawyer. If
If you hear this song, I mean, it's stuck in my head right now.
Yeah.
And
Do 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 do. Yeah, it's just like the chorus will just lodge itself in your frontal cortex, and it's like in a weird time signature like 7/4, which plays to the strengths of this band as to like they can write a catchy melody in a bizarre time signature.
And that's not easy to do.
Yeah.
No, it's easy to screw that up
Yeah.
real quick.
The only other band I can think who did something similar is like Tool, who did odd time signatures and really catchy really well.
I thought the same thing.
They both have deep, weird lyrics.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
There's French lyrics in this, in the chorus, which is something they don't do too often, but they're from Canada, so that's going to leak into some of their songs. And I need to mention the bass line build-up before all the choruses at 48 to 53, 144 to 148, and 308 to 313. It's just this really nice bass run build-up, and then it hits into the chorus, and it works out really well and gets you like pumped for that chorus. Yeah, you're like, I'm ready to sing in my car.
Yeah.
By
Don't
myself.
care.
Yeah.
Do not care who hears
Yeah,
it.
right. Windows down, middle of downtown. You're just belting this.
Yeah. And I know that like now you're back into CD format, so when you listen to the album now, you're probably listening on a CD, so it'll go from the 20-minute side.
They're listening to it on CD, really? They're listening to it on YouTube or Amazon Music or...
You can see how dated he is.
I have
this new thing. My name's Noah.
I have
It's a
CDs.
CD.
I have the record, so this is track 1 on side 2, and this is coming directly on the heels of another
record.
I'm not saying.
So that being said, we're going to move on to the next song because Noah's been made fun of enough for that song.
I just want to say that Hemispheres, I think, is the album where Rush really came into their own unique sound. Because up until then, they, the first album was like, they wanted to be Zeppelin. And then the second album, when John Rutsey got fired and they brought in Neil Peart, was when they started to get a little more depth because Peart was so learned and book smart. But there was still some of that Zeppelin influence that creeped in, and you could even hear that on Bastille Day on Caress of Steel. But I think by Hemispheres, they were just like entrenched into this like really unique prog sound that was very much their own.
Well, and that being said, moving into the next song, Jacob's Ladder off of Permanent Waves, Neil Peart is like the main lyricist for the band, and it really shows through, especially in the opening lyrics to this song, that are just so evocative, and they really set the mood, and they show don't tell, and you really feel the buildup of the song within these first few lines of lyrics, and it just carries out through the rest of the song.
Yeah, I gotta say, Permanent Waves is my favorite Rush album, and this is a tight pick between this and Natural Science for my favorite song on the album.
That's tough.
Yeah, but I think I love this one. This one gets the edge because there's there's an honest to God headbangable riff in the middle, and you can even do the Beavis and Butthead imitation, like. Dun, dun, or
Yeah, I'm just
and it's just like the dynamism of the song, that build up to the Beavis and Butthead riff, and then it comes down from there, and it just kind of eases you out on this like flowy, elegaic sort of sunny note, and it's just the whole
apropos of the actual song
Exactly,
title,
yeah.
what it's about. Jacob's Ladder, beams of sun coming down through the clouds.
Yeah, it's just this beautiful song, and I think they and much like the Beatles did this anticipation of genres, I think Rush did this with the post-metal genre. If you don't know, there are bands like Pelican and Isis who kind of take this whole kind of structure of the song where it goes from quiet, loud, quiet, and on this long-form scale, and they just run with that. So I think Rush kind of anticipated that. I don't think they intentionally did it, but they did. And it's just, again, this is like one of my top 5 Rush songs.
Yeah, it's a great build-up song if you're into... I mean, it's a longer song, so if you're not into that, listen to Circumstances.
Yeah.
But if you want to get into long songs, I highly recommend trying this one.
Yeah, it's a great entry point.
Yeah, for sure. Especially for longer songs.
Yeah, and I mean, it's long, but it's like 7.5 long, so it's not like...
I mean, what most people, it's like 3 to 4 minutes is like the sweet
that.
spot. That's it.
But if you're not into that, go listen to Circumstances.
Yeah.
Again.
Or you can listen to
the next
Our
song.
next song, Vital Signs.
There you go, yeah.
This is the other song on this list that I just cannot believe is on this list.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a single on Moving Pictures, which, again, as I'm sure most everyone knows, that's the album with Tom Sawyer and Limelight, which you hear every 6 minutes on radio.
Yeah.
But it's over. I think this one's overshadowed by the rest of the album because it's the last song.
Yeah.
But it's every bit just as good. And
yeah. If it was on almost any other record, that would be the record.
Well,
that would be the song that you'd be like, oh, that's
yeah, I
the fucking
remember
hit.
that.
Even if maybe it was bumped up in the track list.
Maybe.
Or like a side A. Like this is literally the back end of the B side of the album.
Yeah.
So if it was on A side, this might be a hit. But because it's buried in the album, I think.
Yeah, and it's weird. I remember I actually heard a Rush cover band do this song, which
that's ballsy being a Rush cover band.
Yeah, because I mean, they're going through all the Rush standards, and all of a sudden they break into Vital Signs. I'm like, oh, that's pretty deep. I like that. The rest of the set was but I tipped them just for playing Vital Signs.
Well, and it's good because it's one of the Rush starts experimenting with a reggae electronica sound, which is really it really gives the song its own flavor. And then it's almost like, with the guitar tone too, it's almost a callback to like Clash type music.
Yeah, it's got that punk.
Yeah, that punk type sound, and the lyrics are all about just being yourself and going against societal standards. So it's like a poppy Rush punk song, if you could say that. But
yeah, it's like, I mean, and there's a lot of synthesizer use too. So it's like electro reggae, and it was hit and miss later in their career with that, but they nailed it on this one.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And there's a really great marriage of synths and guitar here too, so that they're in equal measure where one's not overshadowing the other. It's just,
I think it just speaks to their songwriting capabilities.
Yeah, where they can go from, because go 2 songs back on the album and you've got the 11-minute camera eye.
Yeah.
And then you get to this really funky reggae electro song, and it's like, wow, you just did both of that, and it all made sense chronologically within the album.
Yeah.
Too.
And it's catchy as hell. You hear the song and it's gonna get stuck in your head.
Yeah, I would say that any of the Rush songs that exist, like this is the one that I start humming apropos of nothing just most frequently. Just the intro, the like that, that'll just enter my head for no reason all the time.
Yeah. So moving along into the second half of the Rush discography.
The back half.
The back half, we
Yeah.
have...
The Weapon. I fucking love this song. Part of the Fear series. I mean, it's just a fun song.
I don't know about fun.
It's a great song.
It is a great song, and this was on my list too. And I think
Both of us had this.
Yeah, you and me had this both, and I think it's because if you take Geddy Lee off of vocals, this is a
Depeche Mode.
This is a Depeche Mode.
And that's why I
song.
say it's fun. It's a marriage of two of my top 5 favorite bands.
Yeah.
Like if they had a kid, this is that song.
Yeah.
So to me, that's fun as hell. It's like, oh, I get Depeche Mode, but sang by Geddy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
dope.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly what I want. Like, thank you.
Brandon mentioned that it's part of the Fear series, which is a 4-song. I don't really want to. It's not like it's like thematically linked about fear and the way it affects people, and it starts with Witch Hunt off of Moving Pictures, and this chronologically it doesn't make it. They made it chronologically, but then they changed it the way it would stack out in the actual series. But it's Witch Hunt off of Pictures. It's Enemy Within off of Grace Under Pressure,
which made my personal list but didn't make the final list.
Yeah, it's The Weapon, and then it's Freeze.
Yeah,
Freeze off of Vapor Trails.
Vapor Trails.
Yeah, and they make up like a thematic series of songs.
Yeah, and on the whole, I'm not a big fan of Signals. I know a lot of Rush fans love this album. I think most of it's boring. Outside of this song and Subdivisions, which was the single, which I do hear on the radio every now and again.
Yeah, and that's a great day.
It is
when you
yeah.
see that, when you hear that on the radio, you're like, oh,
Yeah,
Subdivisions, all right.
Day.
Yeah, but on the whole, I'm not a big fan of Signals. Really, when they hit the 80s, they kind of dated themselves.
Yeah, but they did 80s really well with Grace Under Pressure, and this next song on our list is the one that, because only 2 songs on the latter half got picked had more than 1 vote, so we each got to pick our own song, and this was mine, and it's After Image off of Grace Under Pressure, and the reason I picked it is just because it is, like, the song that you would think about hearing during every 80s movie montage ever.
Yeah.
I can hear that.
Yeah, it's got
I can
that...
see people like training
Yeah,
and doing
exactly. Yeah, like Rocky running up the steps
Yeah.
and doing all that Rocky stuff.
I
to the song.
saw Flashdance. What does that say?
Well, I mean,
about-
no.
What does that say about me?
Well,
Yeah,
it says a
you
lot,
have
but-
Rocky, I have people like Quest for Fire
Yeah.
running, and you have
And I have
Flashdance.
Flashdance.
Yeah, I mean that's
Next week's episode,
Yeah.
Noah and culottes.
but it just
And
it
leg
has
warmers.
this,
Ooh, yeah.
it has this really great chorus effect on the guitars during the chorus that just really makes it like ring out, and it has that like just straight 80s vibe to it. Now the subject matter of the song is about the loss of one of their friends, Robbie Whalen, who was an engineer, co-engineer on some of their albums, and he died, and that's what the song's about. But like, aside from that, it's just like a really like, jamming song for like 3 minutes and 42 seconds or something like that. Like it's a quick song, and it'll get stuck in your head, and I love it because going back and listening to Grace Under Pressure, I was pleasantly surprised at how well Rush did the 80s.
Yeah.
Well, at least for this album, I think it was this project that actually had Grace come around. Like I got it, because up until then I'd been kind of met on it. But the A side of Grace is like just astoundingly good.
Yeah.
Like Distant Early Warning and Red Sector A.
Those are both.
Oh yeah,
Fucking
Red Sector
phenomenal.
A is
Yeah.
wonderful.
Like if they weren't already on both of the greatest hits albums, they would have made the list.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
they were. But yeah, and Grace was weird because that was the first album they did without their longtime producer, and so there was like a lot of it took them forever, and it was like more of a challenge to get it out. But for some reason, like them producing it themselves, like this is the '80s album that doesn't sound dated. Like you know it's from the '80s, but the way it's produced, it doesn't have that sheen.
Right.
Because when you listen to like Power Windows, you can just hear the day glow coming off of it. And
yeah.
Yeah, they're like definitely. I mean, I will say though, those albums, Power Windows in particular, yeah, it's dated, it's 80s, but if you stack that up against anything else that came out at that time, they're right in line with what was selling at that time and what was going and what was popular. And Rush is nothing if not a chameleon of the times. That sometimes they change color before that becomes a thing, but they're really good at anticipating or going and making the trend their own.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
You can shit on Power Windows all you want, and I totally understand it, by the way. But at the same time, I get the album. Like I listen to it and go, okay, maybe it's not my favorite album, but for an '80s album and an early to mid '80s album at that, it's a pretty damn decent effort considering what else was coming out at that point in time.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I didn't like what was coming out at the time anyway. So outside of Time Stands Still, which I like because I like Amy Mann, we're going to skip all the way to Counterparts in '93 for their grunge album, which this project kind of shined a light on this album for me, and I like most of this album. And our pick for this one was the song Double Agent.
Which is just a wacky song.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wacky... It's like fresh within the entire Rush discography. Like, they haven't done anything like this. It's an entirely new sound for Rush.
Yeah.
Just the experimentation in the song. They use a vocoder with, like, a spoken word part that has Neil Peart, once again, like, on point with, like, really odd lyrics. And then it's got, like, a catchy chorus.
Yeah, and as you said, it's so different. Mm-hmm. It's different from anything they did prior, and anything they did after that. Like, this is a one-off. Like, if you like this song, and this is your only song you like about Rush, well, you're not going to like anything else, because this is its own thing. This is freeform jazz with rock.
Yeah, it's
like... just its own fucking weird
thing. It's like a dragon within Rush's discography.
But it's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, as listening through all the different albums, and then you get this one, you're like, oh shit, oh that exists.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Yeah, because I mean, as much as I like Counterparts, like the middle of the album does start to sag a little, but then Double Agent will come on, and you know when you're listening to an album, sometimes you can tune out, and then usually there's a song that might bring you back in. This is that song because then you start, you hear those like, it goes into the verse with the that heavy tom beat, and that. That'll catch your ear, and then you get to the spoken word part, and you're like, wait, this is Rush, this is new. It's just that newness, like, it makes you listen, and sometimes that's a bad thing, but here it's like, it's, again, that verse, the heavy tom beats, and then it goes into that really catchy chorus.
Yeah. Exactly. Sometimes their experimentation fails. Roll the bones.
Sit back.
Don't.
Relax.
No.
We're moving on to the next
song. Was my pick, and while they might not have put this on their list, I put this on my list mostly for sentimental reasons. It's the title track, Test for Echo. It's when the band went back to being what they started out being. They got rid of the synths, they got rid of everything else, and they went back to where a lead singer / bassist, were a guitarist, and a drummer. That's it. We're going to be a harder rock band. Some of the songs fail, and some of the lyrics fail on this song.
Dog
based
ears.
on
Virtuosity.
But this Resist, Driven, fucking fantastic songs. You're going to hear these songs and Test for Echo being the title track.
Yeah.
It's just great. It's completely different from anything you've heard recently off of their discography, and it's just boom, you go into this and you're like, oh shit, they're back to being a stripped down version of Rush.
And that's what I like about it, is that it's a stripped down version.
Yeah.
The one thing I have against it is what Geddy Lee said. It's not the lyrics themselves, but it's what Geddy said about the lyrics. He said that it's about like the way the band is looked at during the times, which doesn't make sense because the lyrics paint this picture of like a commentary on the media's misrepresentation of like underprivileged street youth.
Yes.
And so for Geddy to take that and be like, it's about the way the band's looked at, it's like that doesn't line up to me. But if you take it as that commentary, then it makes a lot of sense. Not to mention, like, the chorus is really catchy. It's another one that has a really catchy chorus. It's got a pretty heavy, like, driving riff in it.
Absolutely,
that
it does.
Really catches your ear and keeps you involved in the song.
It's really that riff, I know which one you're talking about. It's got a real jazzy feel to it too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still kind of meh on Test for Echo. Excuse me.
Threw up in my mouth.
That's what I think of the album. It's kind of.
Hey, you can say what you want. This is the first Rush album I ever owned.
Yeah.
Well, album. Cassette tape. Thank you, Uncle Mike.
Also, co-writing on the lyrics to Pi Dubois, I think I'm saying that right, who also helped co-write lyrics such as Tom Sawyer. So, that's the thing.
Yeah. And again, Test for Echo is fine as an album. I'm just like, I don't know, like I think they were still finding that 3-piece groove again.
Yeah.
Like, if the tragedy that happened to Pert right after the album hadn't happened, I think they would have figured it out earlier, because I think they hit that 3-piece vibe. It didn't take till Clockwork Angels to really like. There's some good tracks on Vapor Trails.
No, there are, like Secret Touch.
Yeah,
love that. It's
Earth
just like,
Shine and One Little Victory is a really good song too.
But I think Test for Echo is a really, like, they are finding that sound. Like, this song is a good song to go, okay, they have it, they just need to start doing it more consistently.
Yeah.
And that's honestly why I picked this song. Granted, I couldn't take the other two because they do appear, but that's the reason I took this song, because it's the title track, it's the first track, it's them really trying to strip everything back.
Well, it's also that because within their original discography, they had to work within the limitations of having a vinyl record. Like, you can only get so much on that. And then with CD, with the advent of like digital music and CD and stuff, you had all this space to now work. So you could throw in those songs that are like, we wrote it, so
you
put
could,
it on there.
you could throw in Dog Years for some reason. Like, really?
Like, if you had to work within those limitations, I feel like it would have bred more creativity to have more, like, Test for Echo or Driven style songs on the record.
Yeah.
And even then, you could probably strip out some of those songs, like Dog Years or Virtuosity, and it'd be a tighter record.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's perils to that. Like, on one hand, you get some bloat, like on Vapor Trails, where it could have been 20 minutes shorter and it would have been an excellent album.
Oh, for sure.
But on the other hand, you get like masterpieces like Clockwork Angels, where every song is a keeper.
Yeah.
Like, none of the songs made the list from Clockwork Angels for some reason, but I just have to say that is a top 5 Rush album for me.
Shout out
it's
to
fantastic.
shout out to BU2B. That is one of the heaviest Rush songs.
Rush songs.
One of Rush's heavier songs. It is. It's a fucking heavy song.
It's got,
it really is.
It's got a Beavis and Butthead headbang riff in there.
For sure.
I was going to call out The Wreckers, but I saw it was released as a single. I know we talked about catchiness on Circumstances. The Wreckers is even catchier than Circumstances. And if you don't believe me, just go listen to it and then tell me how long it takes before you forget the melody. Because it's going to be like weeks.
Okay, moving on. The last one, which is
the
yours.
last one.
And picked for a reason.
It is picked for a reason. Rush is one of those bands that's known for instrumentals.
Very good ones.
Yes, excellent instrumentals. Grammy-nominated instrumentals. I didn't pick YYZ because it's super popular, and Guitar Hero kind of ruined the song for me. Like, it's still good, but, when you play the game and over and over. Leave That Thing Alone from Counterparts.
I fucking love that song. It's right after Double Agent, and that song is funky.
Yeah, it's so funky, but it was nominated for a Grammy, so it can't really be underrated, right? So I picked one off Snakes and Arrows, and interestingly enough, Snakes and Arrows has 3 instrumentals.
3 instrumentals.
One of which, Roundo Trace.
Instrumentals.
One of which was nominated for a Grammy, but it is not this one, and I think this one's the better of the 3, The Main Monkey Business. And
it took a long time to just get to that title.
Yeah.
Dude, I had to build it up fierce because we got some time left.
You did.
I'm milking it. I think this one is one of the best Rush instrumentals. You can actually do that while you're listening to the song. Like,
I'm going to milk my snake to this track.
If you got something that
I'll
needs
just
milk,
use my arrow. Point to where I want it.
Yeah. Man, you guys sidetracked me fierce on that.
Get some.
But yeah, this is one where Pert is just on point with his drumming, and it's just like, it's the 3 guys just meshing like they used to, and Snakes and Arrows is hitting this, but I love this song.
Well, and Pert's on point for drumming that took him 3 days to learn. Like, this is a highly complex drum track, to the point where they were throwing in, like, triggered noises, like there's sleigh bells, there's guiro, and there's a slowed down whistle. There's the parts from 118 to 144 and 427 to 450, where you can hear this. It's like it's a calmer, one of the calmer sections of the song, and you can hear the sleigh bells, and that's literally Neil Peart having to know when to hit a certain drum that doesn't make a drum sound to make another sound at the right time, and it just speaks to why he's called the Professor.
Yeah, absolutely, and just amazing.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous how like you can do that. I mean, granted it took him 3 days to learn, but if it took Neil Peart 3 days to learn,
It would take an average mortal, like
Yeah.
one of the non-holy trinity.
Several months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, well,
So
that
yeah.
rounds it out.
That wraps it up. Hit us up in the comments. Tell us what you agree with, what you disagree with,
What we forgot.
What we
What
forgot.
Also,
yeah.
we're still trying to get to 100 subscribers, and we'll do something. Maybe not a power hour because of copyright.
And logistics.
Yeah, and logistics. But we're still trying to get to 100, so please like, comment, subscribe, follow us on
Share
Instagram. Share
us,
the
ring the
shit out
bell.
of it. Ring the shit out of that bell. Bang over to
it.
Instagram, bang over to Twitter, bang the subscribe button, and then bang some money our way so that way you're alerted when the next keg is tapped. Cheers.